Hi Claire, it's so good to have you on Flip Your Wig. Right, so the film is finally out. I know this has been a passion project. You started it in 2014. What a long process to get to this point. It's finally in cinemas. I know you've done the festival run. I watched it last year at London Film Festival and it definitely made an impact for me. How does it feel to have it finally out in the world?
Yeah, look, I'm actually so buzzing because I'm like, yes, it's going into the cinemas, and I think I'm going to get to attend some screeners, like some showings of the film in London, and that really excites me because I wasn't able to, because of the pandemic, attend the festival that it was shown at, or Sundance because of demands in Ireland. And I'm so excited to be with the British audience and watch them. I won't be watching the screen. I'll be watching them. And I'm so excited to feel like what they feel and see what they take from it.
What can I do for you?
I want to build a house. These are some of the vacant sites that you have. You see, if you lend me the money and let me use a site, then I could have that built for me and my kids.
I'm really sorry. I can't help you with this.
Your character Sandra goes through so much, Claire, in this movie. You know, she's going through this really dysfunctional, abusive relationship with this man who she's got a family with, so it's really complicated because she's got two children. She's trying to decide what's best for them. But equally, you also show this woman that kind of, Claire, she has resilience. She doesn't like just give up, and she's not just a victim to her circumstances. And I'm wondering, when you were writing this, was it really important to kind of show that kind of shade between the life that she was living and what she was trying to get to?
Definitely, because this was inspired by, essentially, I think subconsciously looking back, I realise now that it's inspired by the women, well, some women that I know, but also when me and Philida were working together in the theatre and doing this all-female Shakespeare stuff, we met so many people in the criminal justice system and in prisons. And the statistics of people that are in prison or doing a sentence or just out of it or whatever, it's so many of them are affected by domestic violence. And half the reason they're there is because of a root reason of domestic violence, or they grew up in a house experiencing domestic violence and therefore was affected by that trauma. So I realized that basically has such an effect on the wider world. And I really wanted to show, though, the spirit and determination and independence and almost like unbelievable redemptive qualities that these women have. This sort of like, I don't know, they're made of iron or something, I don't know, but I met so many cool people that had already been through something like what Sandra goes through in this film. They're on the other side of it. And not only that, they might have formed their own refuge, or they're now a key worker or a counsellor themselves. And they are incredible. And you know what? They're great crack. They're full of life and full of energy. And they're like, yeah, I went through that, but it is not who I am. We can't go on like this.
Just keep telling yourself it's temporary.
Sorry, guys.
Late 3 times and you got your kids here.
John, please, I need this job.
What are we doing, Sandra? Do you think this is good for the girls? I've seen a counsellor. We could try and make it work.
It's so complicated because it's not just a guy you met overnight. You know, you've got kids with this dude, and it's just like, oh, it's so much for her to deal with. But also, it was really interesting watching her go through this journey, getting out of this relationship and rebuilding her life and trying to get a house with the help of Peggy. It almost feels like she rediscovered herself as a woman and as a human, and reminded herself that I matter.
Yeah. Big time. That's what it is. Like, you're watching somebody literally heal their own PTSD, like through step-by-step process and find themselves again. Because like this whole thing, like I think that's what we also wanted to integrate into the film, was that process of gaslighting and how do you rebuild your neural pathways after so long of existing like that. And so the building of the house is the rebuilding of Sandra and her being and her brain as well, and that's why it goes to the place that it goes in the end. I don't want to give anything away, but it's like it's about showing the size of that journey for somebody. It's not overnight, you know, that kind of way, and it involves lots of different aspects.
I want to fix him, you know. I know, but there are some people you just can't.
You're a writer, you wrote the screenplay in 2014, and then these two women that you worked with before who you obviously love and have so much admiration for, and they're both accomplished in their own areas, they back you and they completely say, yes, we've got you, we love this and we want to be a part of it. How did that feel?
It felt amazing. It felt like I was just being championed by them, and Sharon Horgan as well, who I never knew before she read this script and was like, I'm going to get this made for you. You know, it was like there was this generosity of spirit and this kind of like, we don't know how, but we're going to do it, you know, and to have the support of such established and brilliant artists was like, it was everything, because it wouldn't have happened without them, you know, and everybody needs their first leg up. And I plan on being exactly like them as I grow and get more established myself. I'm like, as was it Jack Lemmon who used to say, send the lift back down, like bring people with you. Lift it up, because like it's a long and ongoing project to now look at stories in a different way for women.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's like my whole mission on it was like, I used to be obsessed with like, what's the bedtime story you want to be telling your little girls now? Like, what's that? Because it's not the fairy tale thing that we used to have. And like, what are we doing now? Like, what kind of stories are we telling to those little girls? So.
Most of us get so sunk in our own pain we don't notice our children's. But you did. And that makes you a good mother.
This time I know I'm fighting.
You all know what he did to me. And yet you still bring me in here and you ask me questions like, why didn't you leave him? But you never ask, why didn't he stop?
And also, I found it really interesting that Phyllida, she did a recent interview and she said initially you did not want to play Sandra, you were not going to play the lead role in this, right? And she was insistent. She was like, no, she has to have this moment. But she also shared a bit about your trials and tribulations that you've been through as an actress, and how for years you've been auditioning for roles and sometimes not getting the opportunity to be showcased, and this was a chance for you to be seen. She mentioned also that the birthmark on your face, which is just under your eye, that I think a lot of people probably don't notice, but it's a part of you, looks beautiful, has sometimes probably been a reason why you haven't got gigs. Whereas if it had been a man, it would be completely different. And I think there's definitely something in that, you know, women and their aesthetics are always like a big thing. And I think now it's changing. But how do you feel about all of that? And what's that experience been like for you?
Yeah, no, it didn't. And I've been always a bit reticent about including, you know, my story with my birthmark. It's not about that. It's actually more to do with, basically, there's an aesthetic beauty that is considered like that's the way you have to look on screen as a woman. It usually includes a symmetrical face, usually paler skin, let's face it. Yeah. You know, if you're dark, the paler dark, or it's like, you know, that kind of thing. And it's like slim body, but big boobs, big bum. You know, like it's all these kind of considerations that you're just like, there's so much to try and be for people on screen. It's so hard, you know. And I think for years, actually, I was surrounded by really great people all along the way in theatre, and Phyllida herself and my parents, my family, and everyone that was around me and knew me and loved me. They always said, the right people are going to work with you and they will take you for who you are and your face for what it is and your eye, and you know, you'll find them and you will get to be on screen. But I think after a certain amount of years you wonder, is that actually going to happen? You know, because you're the one going into every audition, you're the one going for it. And then there was a couple of years when I was working in theatre but getting to travel to New York on stage, and then managers would ask you to meet them and blah blah blah. And I just had some experiences that were they were pretty tough, just because it was things like, first thing they were asking was, would you consider having an operation, getting removed? Would you do this, would you do that? And I just remember thinking like, okay, look, I can't get it removed. It's on my eye. Like, so if you don't have that, you're going to have a load of scar tissue across my eyes. Then I have scar tissue. And then you'll say, oh, well, that's not quite good enough because, you know, we need you to be. And so I just kind of got a bit like, okay, maybe for me, I just have to go a different way. I kind of had to ask myself, okay, how much do you love cinema, Claire? How much do you love film? And I was like, I love it so much, I'll do something else. And my next kind of mini talent was writing, because I'd written just a couple of things in college. And I said, okay, I'm going to try and do that. And I didn't look at it as like, oh, I'll show them thing. I just kind of went, I just want to be creative and be a storyteller. I'll just get on with it. And then luckily, the tide has started changing now. I think post Me Too and the Black Power movement, but I think even just before that, it was starting to be like, okay, people want to see real humans on screen. We want to see more of who we actually see day to day. And so I think, thankfully, herself is coming out with me and my birthmark, but also with all the versions, all the different kinds of people in the film.
Are you going to see her dad? She's not herself, but she wants to stay with me.
You lied to me, Sandra.
Skelly, you've been served.
Breach of access.
I'm sorry, love, but legally he has a right to go to court.
What is the point of a house if I have no kids to put in it?
You know, you killed it as Sandra. You did such an awesome job. So I hope you get an opportunity to get your teeth into some more roles that are a bit more meaty and kind of lead parts.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it already did. I got to film the lead character, not the lead, one of the leads in a TV series in the last year, which is the first time I've ever done that in my life. And I finally got the gift of just getting a role, like, and then playing it. I was doing like a bigger role. And so I'm really grateful that herself has allowed that to happen. And I hope like that little girls or boys or anyone out there that have something slightly different about them do see something reflected of themselves, not just through me, but through all the other actors that are coming forward. And I'm also like I've had actors with birthmarks on their face write to me. And yeah, it's amazing that like, at least like, look, it's a very minority. Like, it's a bit niche this. But in terms of just in the given scheme of things at the moment and how we're moving forward as storytellers, I just hope everything just feeds into it.
This time I know